Yo, did that just fucking happen, bro? Oh my God. What a way to snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat, because it sure as hell looked like we were losing this game. And then Josh Blackwell makes an incredible block to win the game for the Bears. The Bears win this game according to Vegas. Vegas was the favorites in this game. So, and we upset the Raiders, apparently. But all right. The Bears found a way to win. They got a W. This is the steps that I like to see. See, last year we did this shit, right? Last year we did this shit. Offense goes down the field, scores the touchdown to take the lead. Still a little bit too much time left on the clock for the opposing team to go down the field and get either a field goal or a touchdown to win the game. And unlike some of the situations last year, this year, and especially unlike the situation um in week one this year, we did what we the fan base have been asking for. When your back is against the wall, when adversity hits, what are you going to do about it? Offense, we need a score. Go get us a score. They did that. Defense, we need a stop. Final drive doesn't go really damn good because you let the freaking Raiders return a kick damn near to the 42-yard line. Where is the fucking kickoff coverage there? Terrible. Terrible coverage right there. And then you let the Raiders get these cheap little yardages instead of stopping them. It all results in Daniel Carlson coming to the plate for a field goal. And I was watching it right next to my dad, and I literally told my dad, the only way the Bears are going to win this is if they get a blocked field goal. That's the only way. Because Daniel Carlson is one of the more accurate field goal kickers, especially from over 50 plus yards. The only way the Bears are going to win this game is due to a blocked kick. And when they set it all up, I was just like, they're going to win the game. They're going to kick it. If he somehow misses it, whatever. The chances of a block happening, no chance. And then lo and behold, the kick goes up, and I see the kick flutter a ball, and I see that it was blocked, and it hits the turf, and I see it was blocked, and me and my dad start going crazy. And the Bears somehow found a way to win by the littlest hair of everything. Now, if you remember, if you watched all of last week, week 3, there was like 3 or 4 block kicks all over the league. 2 of them happened in Philadelphia. And in Philadelphia, that's what determined the game for the Eagles. The Eagles won because they blocked the kick. And typically, now I'm going to start realizing that if I see multiple block kicks in one week, that means the following week it's going to be a block kick. Because you remember last year, there was a bunch of block kicks, right? A bunch of block kicks the week before we played the Packers last year. And then the following week, we play the Packers, we go win the game, and we end up losing the game because the field goal got blocked. So now going forward, every time I see a week of football where I see multiple block kicks all over the league, I'm going to see there's going to be one game that's going to determine an outcome because of a block kick. And luckily, we were on the right side of this week, and we ended up blocking the kick, finding a way to win, albeit we definitely as hell didn't deserve to win this game, but we found a way to win. I'll take it. I'm happy. We go into the bye week 2-2. We got a whole lot of problems we got to figure out into this bye week before we go on the road on Monday night to go and try to exact revenge and redeem ourselves from the Hail Mary from hell against the Washington Commanders. And I fully expect Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels to be ready by then because you already know they're going to want to play that game. My only question is, why do we got to go back to Washington? Washington should come to us. Don't know why we have to go back to Washington. I think that's 3 straight years in a row. We have to go to their place instead of having to go play. I mean, of them having to come here. Because the last time they played us in Chicago was the first year of Eberflus in the 2022 season where we lost that Thursday night game, right? And then the following year, 2023 season, we played them on Thursday Night Football again in Washington, and then we played them on that one Sunday last year in Washington, and now we got to play them again on Monday Night Football in Washington. Schedule people. Why are they coming? Why do we got to go back to them? They should come to us. Like, honestly, I'd rather would have gone to MetLife or fucking, or you know, I'd rather would have gone to MetLife, you know, instead of having them come here, instead of going to Washington. But whatever. We got to go to Washington, so that's good. We're 2-2 in the bye week. We're good for now. You don't have to put up your mock drafts of potential dudes we're looking to go get. But this is the type of victory that many Bear fans, shit, even some of the Chicago media have been asking to do. And that's when adversity hits. What are you going to do about it? And what are you going to do even if you played a shitty game like the Bears played today? What are you going to do to try to find a way to win the game and gut this game out? What are you going to do to make it where it's not the same old Chicago Bears narrative? And because for a hot second, that's what it looked like. It looked like it was going to be the same old Chicago Bears narrative. Defense does enough, forces turnovers. Offense can't do much of anything. And then you turn around the offense. They manage to get 2 touchdowns in the second half while the defense struggles to stop the offense. And then the last minute, our offense goes down the field, goes find a way to get touchdown on the board and take the lead. And then the defense, oh, great, we're letting these guys go down the field to win the game. Oh, wait, we didn't. We actually won. These are the type of games the Bears need to win. This is what creates the habits of a losing organization to a winning one. Finding the ways to win the games, even if it's by blocking a field goal kick to win a game. Any reason why, so then in the future, 2-3 years down the road, when you have better talent, you are in positions, you're prepared for these moments where you know what to do and you know how to act. Because when they scored that last touchdown and the Bears were doing the nights and, you know, basically saying, shh in the crowd, I'm just looking at the TV and I'm like, bro, there is 1:30 left on the clock. Why are we taunting the fans right now? You've been here. You understand what happens. And luckily, this time, that did not come back to bite them in the ass. I still would rather not than, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm seeing this on the film. I'm Ben Johnson. I'm telling these dudes, hey, there's still 1:30. I don't want to see no celebration where you guys are shushing the crowd and everything. Because you remember what happened in Washington? You guys did that, and you guys lost. I hope they correct that when they're watching the film, because I did not like that celebration after DeAndre Swift got the touchdown there. Because there was way too much time. We did sure as hell could have lost this game. But the Bears played a pretty bad first half by the offense. Really great, or actually, I'll say this. Really good defensive, first half. And then it flipped. The defense completely sucked in the second half. And the offense had its struggles here and there. And it still had these issues where I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? You can't make this shit up. But they did play somewhat better in the second half, getting 2 touchdowns and shit like that. So that's the thing, right? If you watch my halftime thoughts, which I think I might need to start doing now, I think I might start doing, little short mini halftime streams of, off my phone, just showing everybody my thoughts on the half, what the Bears may need to do better going into the second half. But yeah, man, let's talk about it, bro. Let's talk about it. The Bears came in this game as underdogs. And the thing that I was worried about is, what are we going to do? How is the offense going to look? Are we going to repeat the same thing we did against Dallas? Because I'm like, all right, this might have to be another shootout type of game because I can't trust this defense. I already expect this defense to let the Raiders get on a roll and let Ashton Jeanty run all over us, which he did, and he scored 3 touchdowns today. Unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Ashton Genty was complete garbage for the first 3 weeks of the season. He plays us, we make this dude look like an all-pro. Looking like he was actually worth the 6th overall pick. Now for him, hopefully that's a good game for him where, hey, that gets you on the right track. But as a Bears fan, it pissed me the hell off that we continue to see this over and over and over again. Defense still struggles to make tackles, especially when it's tackling in guys in the backfield. There was many times this defense, especially in the second half, regardless, right? There were chances we could have stuffed the Raiders and got sacks and got freaking loss of yards. Nope. Going right off these dudes. And I'm just like, bro, come on now. You got to make better tackles. The defensive line gets absolutely no fucking push whatsoever. It's still becoming an issue. And I still hope, albeit we did win today, I still hope in Halas Hall, they are not, and especially, the front office, they're not ignoring the issues they do have at the defensive line. There is still no time. They are getting no pressure whatsoever. They're okay sometimes against the run, but they're really bad against the run. They're terrible at getting any pass rush against the pass affecting a quarterback to get them off their spot and create pressure. This defense can't get stops unless it's like, a team is pinned in their own fucking end zone, or we force a turnover like we did 3 times today, or 4 times, 3 times off off Geno Smith, and 1 time and a fumble, and we caused a fumble off Ashton Genty. Plain and simple, we already know this defensive line has to be massively upgraded. We need another pass rusher because Dio and Montez Sweat just can't. It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. And I saw a stat line where I think the Raiders right tackle, he had like crazy giving up sack totals. He had like 2 sacks, like 6 pressures, and I think 15 quarterback hits or whatever when they played Washington. And Montez Sweat did next to nothing. You didn't even hear his name called again. This is a guy, again, like I want to mention, he's getting paid a whole lot of fucking money. We traded a 2nd round pick who ended up becoming Cooper DeJean for this guy. And so far, since he's gotten paid, he has done virtually nothing. Nothing. Nada. You're getting paid all this money, Mr. Sweat, and you're doing nothing. He can't even freaking pressure the quarterback. When he first got here, he could do that. He was a game wrecker. And in the last 2 years, he has done absolute nothing. I'm going to officially call that as a bad contract by Poles. And it's clear. This team needs another fucking pass rusher that, for the love of God, needs to be fucking disruptive to open everything else up. Because that's the fact. At the end of the day, these linemen, they're not winning their one-on-one fucking battles. They're not winning their battles. When you're one-on-one against a man and it's mano-a-mano, you're not winning their battles. They're getting flat out beaten. And at some point, that's got to stop. Now, you got to play with who you got to play with. But at the end of the day, if you're in I want the coaching staff to literally, especially in the bye week, let these defensive linemen know, hey, man, I'll put somebody else in if you can't go get no damn pressure. It's unacceptable. And I call these guys out in the film room and be like, bro, Sweat, you're getting paid so-and-so money, and you barely getting any sacks. You're supposed to be our game wrecker. If you do not show up, I will bench you. And if you do not continue to do this, I will go up to the front office and tell them, let's deduct some of that money. Dio getting paid a whole bunch of money, doing a whole bunch of nothing. This defensive line has not gotten any pressure since week 1 against the fucking Vikings. Like consistent pressure like crazy. That was the one time I saw the defensive line actually affecting the quarterback and how they play. Outside of that, the last few weeks, I have not seen that. I didn't see it at all in the Lions game. I didn't really see it at all in the Cowboys game, just Dak making bad mistakes. And then this game, it was kind of more the same. Geno Smith just made bad mistakes. Yeah, we intercepted the ball 3 times with this guy, but we really never sacked this guy. This guy wasn't even touched. And then every time we have a chance to stop the running backs in the back of the field, we can't tackle. This defense is still a fucking problem. I credit the defense for getting stops here and there and forcing turnovers, but this defense is still a problem. And again, it falls to the feet of Ryan fucking Poles that he did not improve the actual trenches of this team. We need an edge rusher. Please go get one. Or go draft one next year in the first round. I will say I appreciate Kevin Byard. I thought Kevin Byard and Tyreek Stevenson were probably the 2 defensive players that came to play today. If there was any defensive player standouts, it was those 2. Those 2 were clearly the 2 dudes that stood out the most on the defense, and they came prepared to play. When Kevin Byard has 2 picks and Tyreek Stevenson coming out of halftime, knowing you need a stop, immediately turnover. Tyreek Stevenson, since that Lions game, he has been nothing but great. More of this, please. More of this Tyreek Stevenson. See, when I hear this Tyreek Stevenson doing in and putting in the work, and you want to know conveniently enough, when he is not doing the yapping, he plays better. I wonder if the coaching staff told him, stop your fucking talking, whether that's on the Bears social media page or in games, and guess what? And focus on the task at hand, and guess what? You'll play better. And the more I've seen Tyreek Stevenson cut out his yapping, the more he's played better. Shows me what happens when you stop your talking and everything, and you guess what? You focus on the task at hand, you focus on the game you're playing, your play, guess what? You actually play good. So whatever they're doing, whatever Al Harris, the DB's coach, is doing with Tyreek Stevenson, keep that up. Keep it up. Because that's the type of Tyreek Stevenson we need to get on a weekly basis till Jalen Johnson comes back. And shit, even when Jalen Johnson comes back, if this is the type of Tyreek Stevenson play we're going to get, this is what makes me happy to where I feel like we don't have to go get another cornerback in the draft or in free agency that can be a lockdown corner opposite that of Jalen Johnson. That's what I'm talking about. But those are probably my 2 defensive standouts today. Legitimately, they were great today. When you force 3 interceptions and make Geno make bad decisions, you'll make him pay. The problem was in the first half, we didn't really make them pay. Really didn't. That was kind of also another problem. These turnovers that we had, the offense didn't really make him pay. And let's get to the offense, okay? Now, credit where credit is due. When they had to go down the field and get a touchdown, they did that. Caleb Williams led the team down the field. And this is what you want to see out of your young quarterback. And he's done this before. Last year, he did this multiple times with the Bears, where he wheeled the team down to victory, put the team on his back, aka wore the Superman cape, became Superman, and he led the team down the field to take the team to get the game-winning touchdown. Now, yes, he didn't get the game-winning touchdown but behind his arm. DeAndre Swift was the one that got it, the game-winning touchdown. But regardless, at the end of the day, your quarterback made throws to get down the field and put us in a position to win the game. So again, that's another positive on Caleb Williams that, hey, when the time comes for him to get down the field and get us a touchdown, he can do that. That's what you want to see. Now, he had an okay game in between the middle of the game, but honestly, I thought he played a solid game. Not good, not great. I thought solid. There was some bad, some good. Again, there were some times where he missed a receiver in the middle of the field that he could have thrown to. But look, that's the thing about young quarterbacks. He'll learn. Now, I will say he does definitely need to get better at not, I guess, getting fidgety and when the pocket starts to collapse on him. I did like that first touchdown strike he had to Rome Odunze, where yes, there's a lot of havoc happening in that pocket, but he stayed in that pocket, freaking threw a dot to Rome Odunze for the touchdown, who had a great homecoming, mind you. That makes it only sweeter for him that he won in his home state of Nevada, in Vegas, right? But see, that's the stuff where it's like, okay, boom, we want to see you stay in the pocket sometimes and just deliver the ball to your said receiver, because that's what turns the good quarterbacks to great quarterbacks. Dealing with the fact that you got all this pressure and you can still deliver a dot on the money. And there were times where he did escape when he needed to escape. There was sometimes some escapes, like for all people who loved again Justin Fields and how he could escape the pocket. Caleb Williams is just as good, right? Because we know Justin could find ways to get out of the pocket like crazy on his crazy scrambles. But Caleb Williams is such a good manipulator of the pocket, and I think he's starting to understand and get better at it, right? He's good at evading these strong rushes. And it's really showing to me when he's shrugging off these defensive linemen that are like damn near 250 plus pounds, or even damn near 300 pounds. He's still getting off these dudes and shaking them off, and still maybe getting out of there, either delivering a ball and making a play, or just going and getting a carry. Right? It really goes to show Caleb Williams is a lot stronger than he looks like. Like, yeah, he looks small and he looks a little bit scrawny, but clearly the dude is a lot stronger than he looks like. And, that's kind of the thing right then and there, right? So you definitely do have to appreciate that whole thing right then and there, right? So you'll definitely take that. But he delivered some balls, some nice balls today and everything, and I'll take it. I will definitely take it. He played within the flow and the structure of the offense the best way he could. The only issue that so far seems to still be a consistent issue is the batted balls at the line. Now I can't really fault that interception on him. It was batted high in the air. Again, I'll talk about my issues with how the offense was going and stuff like that. But again, you get to the point where it's like, all right, maybe he might need to be starting to throw a little bit higher over the defensive lineman, right? Which maybe was like that one pass to Rome Odunze that was a little bit high. Maybe he felt like he had to throw it high because if he threw a dart at Rome Odunze right there, he probably was feeling like it's going to be freaking blocked or going to be tipped and batted down. So maybe the coaches have to get in the room and tell him, hey man, you're going to have to throw the ball with a little bit more touch to get over the defensive lineman's hands, because so far it's looking like the defensive linemen, if they're not going to rush, they're going to stick there and stay there. Look where Caleb Williams' eyes are going, and then at the right time, freaking time it to where they can bat a ball down to the ground. One, that needs to start being an emphasis on the offensive line, because if I'm an offensive lineman and you're seeing a freaking defensive lineman do that, well then I'm sorry, man. You need to freaking push this said defensive lineman and put him on his fucking ass, because at this point, if they're just like, okay, I'm gonna time this. You as the freaking offensive lineman, you need to see this. You need to be like, you know what? Fuck this. I know what you're gonna do. You need to bulldoze that dude. And if it starts getting called for penalties, okay, fine, whatever, right? But if that starts to happen as an offensive lineman, you need to start freaking trucking these guys and knocking these guys down. Like that's what Ozzie or Theo should have done with Max Crosby. If they knew Max Crosby's waiting to bat a ball down, you should already be going into Crosby's fucking chest and blowing his ass up and say, not in my fucking house. And make him realize, no, you be a rusher. Don't fucking, stand there and bat the ball. That way, you can make a defensive lineman second guess and think, okay, I just need to go rush, because these guys are going to put me on my ass again. That's the thing that the offensive line needs to improve at. If I'm in that film room, I'm telling these guys, hey, man, if you're seeing these guys just stand there waiting for Caleb to freaking just try to bat the ball down, you need to go at these guys. You need to go knock them on their asses, because it's unacceptable how many times we've seen in these games that balls are getting batted down, man. And I don't know if it's because Caleb's throwing a little bit too low, or if it's the fact that these offensive linemen just they ain't really blocking. They're letting these dudes just sit there, and they're just like go attack these guys. That's your job. Go attack them. If you see these guys just sitting there, don't let them just sit there. Go put them on their asses. The run game is still trash, bro. Now, I will say this. The run game was trash in the first half. And if you saw my halftime thoughts, I did say that the run game was terrible. Like, legitimately. The run game is terrible. Like, you have it to where a defensive lineman is already in the backfield by the time the carry is given to either Kyle Monunga or DeAndre Swift. Like, and they're getting stuffed. At some point, that's on the offensive line for not getting a hat on a body and driving them. Like, at some point, yes, the running game is terrible. And it does need to be better, and some of that does have to do with the running backs. But another case has to do with the fact the offensive linemen, they're not being aggressive and physical enough to push these guys off their spot and move them and drive them. Because if you're not driving them, that's why you're going to have guys in the backfield on the defensive line immediately generate pressure on the run the moment the ball is handed off right there. And that's got to be better. Now, in the second half, I guess Ben Johnson must have told the offensive line, get your head out of your asses and block these guys. Because it did feel like, and maybe he also told the running backs, hey, bro, you guys need to fight for more yards. So stay on your damn feet and fight every single inch. Because that's what it looked like. It looked like the run game ended up getting a little bit more open, and they started to actually run the ball a little bit more. Yeah, it didn't really lead to big runs, but you got my point. You know, those 2-yard carries ended up becoming damn near 5, maybe 6 yards a carry. Because you could clearly see that they were getting more better at running the ball in the second half. So whatever they can do, what we see replication of that, that's what they need to do going forward. That's the type of running we need to do. I don't care if you're getting like 5 or 6 yards a carry, right? And I don't care about getting like 20-yard rushes or anything. That's great. That's cherry on top. That means everything's being blocked up correctly. Your offensive linemen are getting to the second level, damn near a third level, where you're blocking corners and safeties, right? And your running back's taking advantage of that, right? But, you know, it's the thing that irritates me where you're getting stuff in the backfield, or the least you can get is 1 yard a carry. I don't care. Even if you get 3 or 4 yards a carry, that's still a productive run. But it's not productive if you're getting stopped at the line of scrimmage or you're only getting 1 yard. So whatever we saw in the second half to make runs more manageable, they need to do more of that. And maybe that's just a combination of the running backs just running harder and just saying, fuck it, I don't care. I'm running through these guys, whatever, right? And running with some physicality. And then 2, that's also on the offensive line, just saying, you know what, screw this shit. They're not pushing their asses around. The offensive line, I thought in the second half did a better job than the first half, but in the first half, they were still getting. It's just bad, man. It's just bad how, outside of Joe Thuney, probably all the other offensive linemen have issues. Jonah Jackson is just fucking terrible, bro. Jonah Jackson is terrible. Dahlman, I think it's time for me to start having a conversation about him because he's definitely not been playing good. There was one part of the game, well, there's 2 parts. One, he let a free rusher right up the middle, right? And then he had a really bad snap. I don't know if that was on Caleb not paying attention. I attribute that to more of the snap because it looked really low. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do as a quarterback? You're not gonna bend damn near down and pick it up, right? So, you know, there needs to be a conversation about Dominant because he's getting paid. He's another one of these guys getting paid a whole lot of money, and he hasn't been as dominant as we thought. Like, he's been serviceable. Like, he has been an upgrade of centers of what we've had the past 2-3 years. I'll give him that. But it's not good enough. For the money he's getting paid, it could sure as hell be better. Jonah Jackson, we traded a pick for this guy, and he's a problem where I'm just looking like go into the bye week. Maybe we give Luke Newman an opportunity and see maybe he's better. Because Jonah Jackson is not playing good football. He in all 4 weeks, he has not played good. And I'm starting to wonder, maybe I'd rather go see Ryan Bates play right guard, or you go to Luke Newman and see how he does. Theo Benedict at right tackle sucked. When he was at left tackle, now I don't know if Braxton Jones got hurt again, or if maybe they benched Braxton Jones and said enough of you. You're just not playing good enough today. And they put Theo at left tackle because it looked like Theo was more comfortable at left tackle than right tackle. Because Theo was getting absolutely abused by Max Crosby. And then immediately at some point in the second half, Ben Johnson makes the adjustment. They put in Ozzy Trapillo. And lo and behold, Max Crosby wasn't really much of a problem when you put Ozzy in, because the word was out on the street, he was a lot more he was a lot more he was a lot more comfortable at right tackle. And he looked like that. And he didn't have no holding penalties, no false start penalties, and he looked damn good out there against Max Crosby. Huh. Shocking, not shocked. I'm not shocked by that. That's a second round pick that you drafted fairly high, right? Right? Instead of, and that ended becoming my issue. Why did we just not start Ozzy Trapillo from the start? Why did we start Theo Benedict? And I said this in my week predictions that I'd be frustrated that if Theo Benedict was the start at the right tackle, what are we doing with Ozzy Trapillo? You finally activate him and make him active on the active roster, and we're not starting him to see what he can give us at the right tackle. You moved him there from left tackle to right tackle for a reason, and no fucking shock to me that when he got inserted in the right tackle position, when they said another Theo Benedict, he played good. Not much of an issue. Now I will say it also does show that the Bears did miss Darnell Wright, but Theo came in, or not Theo, Ozzy came in. He made the most of his opportunity, and he looked good out there. So now it's all on Darnell Wright when he more than likely comes back on the bye from the bye week. Let's see how you play, man. Are you going to get any false starts? Are you going to get any holding penalties? Because I heard nothing from Ozzy Trapillo today. So that's props to him. That's good. That's good for Ozzy. Now they moved Theo back to left tackle. And again, I don't know if Braxton got banged up to the point he got hurt again, or if they benched Braxton. I'm going to say more the latter. They may have benched him because they may have not thought it was acceptable play enough. And Theo played fairly well. Didn't hear anything else from Theo Benedict since then. And he played damn good football. So maybe he's more of a better left tackle than right tackle. But you get my point. Play your guys in the position you drafted them at. If Ozzy is a right tackle, when Darnell's out, he should play. And Ozzy got in and he played a solid football game. I thought Ben Johnson's play calling was today. You know, in that first half, he was doing that cute trick play shit. Like he tried to do the stumble bum and that failed. And I'm just like, dude, just fucking call the game, seriously. Like, if you're up, like, by 20, yes, do the trick plays, do the gadgety stuff. But when it's time, when it's a close game and it's a serious game, I don't need any of that shit. Stop. That's when you're becoming more of Matt Nagy that I don't like than the Ben Johnson that I do like. He's hot and cold. There was instances where I did enjoy Ben Johnson's play calls, but there's other instances where I just didn't like him. And again, maybe some of the play calls the way they are is because we just can't run the fucking football. And it's simple. If his offense can't go if he can't run the football. Like his offense is especially tailored to the football being ran and opening everything up. But you know, it is what it is. I thought in the second half it was better play calling. It was more, okay, that was the whole thing. Because in the first half, I was getting pissed off with the stupid stuff. And I was just getting pissed off with his play calling. The fact that, like, he was going at Max Crosby, and I'm just like, dumbass. Shouldn't your game plan be going away from Max Crosby where he doesn't affect the game and you're limiting what Max Crosby can do? Because Max Crosby dominated the Bears in that, especially that first quarter. And I'm just like, why are we running screens to Max Crosby's side? Why are we running the ball to Max Crosby's side? Why do we keep passing straight drop back to Max Crosby's side? Why are we targeting this guy? He's their game wrecker. Why? As the offensive minded coach, you should know. Let's not make this guy be a game wrecker and affect our game plan. Let's go the other side. In the second half, you started to see them actually go the opposite way of Max Crosby. And guess what? The offense looked better. So I hope in the media, when I go watch the Brent Johnson press conference, I hope the media is smart enough. Mind you, the Chicago media is stupid, but I hope the Chicago media is smart enough to ask, like, hey, what was up with the first call? You know, again, you know more football than me, and respectfully, you know, at the end of the day, you guys got the win. But I just wanted to wonder, in that first half, why were there set targets around the vicinity of Max Crosby? Because in that first quarter, he really affected the game. And he started becoming a real massive problem. But I did see in the second half, you guys started to go away from him. But why did you guys specifically try to go at him? Even though knowing you, he's a game wrecker. Like, that's the questions and the answers I need to hear. And I would hope that Ben Johnson says, hey, that's me, that's on me. You know, I probably should have adjusted mid-game in that first half and let my guys know we got to stop going that direction. Because it was unacceptable of the fact that they were going at this guy constantly in the first fucking half. And I'm like, dude, go away from Max Crosby. He's the game wrecker. You want to limit what he can do. You don't want to make this guy look like an all-pro player, which he is, but still, you want to make sure he's not affecting the game where he's bothering you. And in the second half, albeit he was getting pressures, he did next to nothing in the first half. Or as he did in the first half as opposed to the second half. Which makes no sense. So I just hope that means next week, or when like we play the Packers like they're playing right now, I would hope, hey, the plan is to go away from Micah Parsons. That's their game wrecker. You don't go target him because you want to show him off and be all, hey, I'm all smart. I can go at this guy and it will work. Because guess what? You tried to do it for a half against Max Crosby, and that shit sure as hell did not work. So there still needs to be better play calling from the head coach. I will say his time management does need to be a little bit better. There was instances where it could have been better. Like I know on that last drive the Raiders had, I'm like, hey man, I think you should start calling some timeouts here. Instead of letting the clock drain. So you can have a chance to have your offense at least get the ball back with a few seconds left. Didn't call any timeouts. So he could be better about that too. About his game management stuff. I also didn't like the fact, like when we got the first touchdown, it was 15-14. I would have went for 2 there to make it 17-14, and that would have been a 3-point game. Now, we ended up doing it the next fucking touchdown, but just say, guess what? We ended up actually, and maybe honestly, that was probably for the better, because the good thing is we ended up winning by 1, right? As opposed to having this game probably go to overtime, because if he had gotten an extra point, right, then game potentially could have been tied. And we would be in overtime. But you get my point, right? You get my point. So, like, I was thinking, like, he should have went for 2 there after the first touchdown to make it 17-14, because it was a 3-point game at that point. Because you could have made it a 3-point game. You know, but luckily he made it. He went for it for 2 the second time to try to make it a 3-point game. In any event, the Raiders need to go down the field and kick a field goal to tie the game to send to overtime. But luckily for us, thanks to Josh Blackwell, even though because we didn't get it, thanks to Josh Blackwell, we ended up winning the game by 1, and the Bears found a way to get a gritty, hardcore win. These are the type of wins you need to take. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot. I completely forgot. 2 more things. 2 more things. Cairo Santos, it shows us why the Bears need to get rid of Cairo Santos after this year. There was that one drive we were driving and we just had negative play after negative play. And it was one of those situations where we had to punt the ball We had to punt the ball instead of kick a field goal because we know our kicker doesn't have a strong leg. Yet I looked at the Tampa Bay Eagles game and McLaughlin kicked damn near a 65-yard field goal, almost breaking an NFL record. There are NFL kickers that can kick 65 plus yard field goals and fucking make it, and we're still stuck with Carlos Santos. And his range is probably 45 at best. It really shows you we need an upgrade at a kicker. Tory Taylor, speaking of punting, Tory Taylor actually had a good punt for once. He probably had the best punt of his career. Actually pinned the team deep within the 10. That was one of the few times we actually got a punt off the Raiders. That's the type of punt we need more from Tory Taylor going forward. Pinning them in within at least the 10-yard line, within the 20. Damn near almost on the goal line. Probably the best punt he had in his entire career. And then before I get out of here, again, I know I've been sounding negative mostly, but it just shows me there are still problems with this team that still need to be fixed. Yes, there are positives. Rome Odunze is another positive, right? Great. He leads the team in touchdowns, and he's just doing wonderful, right? He's being great. And Rome Odunze, he looks like he's going to be a breakout player for the year. The Roman Caleb connection is phenomenal. But let's get to some more negatives. Again, DeAndre Swift, man. I know he gave us the game-winning touchdown, but I'm sick of DeAndre Swift, man. I really am sick of DeAndre Swift. I hate DeAndre Swift. He is not good. And you still and still even after this game, you can't convince me they need another running back. They need another running back in that room. What are they waiting on? Get another running back in the room. DeAndre Swift is not good enough. First drive of the game, he drops a simple check down pass to Caleb. He would have picked up the first down. And he dropped it, hit him in the hands, and he dropped it. And I'm just like, not even a second into the game, you're already fucking up. And then the first play coming out of halftime, we get after the interception. We do again the flea flicker, but we do a flea flicker fake. And this guy gets a good gain, but he gets called for a penalty for face mask, essentially. And I'm just like, dude, I don't care what anybody says. I'm done with DeAndre Swift, bro. And many other Bear fans are done with this guy. I don't care. For all the positive he gives us, I'm done. Let him walk after next year. Don't bring him back. He fucking blows. He's just not good. I'm sorry. I don't like him. He's just not the type of running back that I think this team needs. He needs to go. He is a negative that you let him walk, you don't bring him back. Because he's more of a negative than a positive. He don't want to get run and get physical in the run game because he's more of a guy that likes to run to the outside as opposed to being a guy in the tackle and between the tackles. Yet he came from fucking Georgia, an SEC school, and he does not like to get fucking hit. While the Bears and Ryan Poles have not brought in another running back, I have no clue. You're not using Roschon Johnson. He's taking up a roster space. Cut him and bring up another running back. And then last thing I need to, before I get out of here, I think we're finding out why the Bears took Colston Loveland at number 10. Look, Colston Loveland was out due to his hip injury. So that means, hey, this could be a big game for Kmet. A game for Kmet to show that he still deserves to be here. I think we can all collectively agree this was Cole Kmet's worst game as a pro. And now I really see why Ben Johnson begged Ryan Poles to go draft Colston Loveland. And this is the reason why we dropped it to tight end at 10. Because your current starting tight end that makes $12 million, sure as hell not good enough either. And I could perfectly see him being cut or traded next year and being traded away from his favorite team because he's just not good enough. He's having issues, bro. On one of the drives, Caleb throws to him. He catches the football, gets a nice gain. Caleb goes back to him, hits him right in the hands. Drop. Would have been first and goal right there. And that was the drive which set us back, where we had to punt the ball instead of kicking the field goal. Plays like that, and that's even the first time we have not seen Cole Kmet drop wide open passes. He has a hands problem. These are the exact reasons why Ben Johnson wanted Colston Loveland. Maybe this is the exact reason why we have barely seen Cole Kmet be a focal point in this offense, because the coach knows you're not good enough. Maybe we see why he's more of a blocker than a receiving tight end, because he's not good enough. You can't drop wide open passes. And then even Caleb does his magician-like thing, his sideline throw pass, and Cole throws it at Cole Kmet, and he dropped that too. And then he got called for like 3 false starts today. I'm just like, dude, you're a fucking veteran player making $12 million. And you are supposed to be like, I guess, one of the leaders on the team, because you've been here one of the longest. And your ass is dropping passes, getting false starts. This game further cemented to me, Cole Kmet more than likely ain't going to be here next year. And this is Colston Loveland's going to be job. Because there ain't no way. Now I see the vision. Now I see why they took Colston Loveland at 10. Because Ben Johnson is not sold on Cole Kmet. And I won't be shocked if Cole Kmet is one of those guys that he is not on the Bears next year. He will be on another team. And deservedly so. Because he did not play good today. Now, albeit it's one game, but this has been a consistent issue of him. He has been a negative. He was a negative today. And he consistently has been a negative because he's been a part of losing. When you're a loser, you drop wide open passes that you should catch. And look, I like Cole Kmet. I think he's a good dude. He's great. But this is what happens. This is why I did not like him last year when he was on them damn podcasts with CHGO and doing all this shit. Because it affects his play. Now, he's not doing any of this podcast stuff anymore. But you get my point. He ain't playing good. And now I think I see why we barely see this guy featured in the offense. Because you can't trust this guy in the offense. Because you don't know if he's going to get a false start. Or you don't even know if he can catch the fucking football. Now I see why Caleb barely looks his way. Because you can't trust this guy. He's dropping wide open passes across the middle of the field. And this ain't the first time he's done that. He's done this multiple times in his Bears tenure. It just goes to further show you, man. When you look at this roster, as I get out of here, there are going to be a lot of guys that are not going to be on this roster. A lot of these guys that we thought were going to be mainstays may not be mainstays. They may be gone by next year, and this could be a completely different team. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Because you weed out the loser, the players that were the losers on this team, and you bring in your own guys that want to build this culture and become winners. I'm happy that the Bears got the win today. I'm happy for Josh Blackwell. He got a great block. I'm happy for Ben Johnson, too. Bears played a game where they definitely looked like they were going to lose, and then they found a way to win the game, and that's what you can ask for. Heading 2-2 into the bye week is the best possibility. After the colossal start we had. Losing 2 division games, losing a game against the Vikings that you should have won. They lost again today. So when you look at the fucking Vikings, they probably should have no wins. They should be 0-4. Or no, 1-3. That's the least they should be. They should be 1-3. If you manage to beat them in Chicago week 1. 1-3, you're third place in the division. Now you're tied for third place in the division, but you're what is it? You're tied for first place in the or third place in the division, but the problem is you technically are fourth place still because the Vikings hold the tiebreak over you because they beat you. So just think of that. We'd be 3-1 and they would be 1-3. But because you did not take care of business in week 1, you're at 2-2 at the bye. I'll take it. 2-2 at the bye, you will take it. Because especially, albeit you're going into a bye week, unlike last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where you played a great game. This week, going into the bye week, you played a shitty game. You still found a way to win, but you played a shitty game, and you definitely, there are areas to improve in heading into the Commanders game. So I'm glad that we did not look like world beaters, and I'm glad that after the Cowboys game, this kind of put us back down and checked us back down into reality and say, oh no, there are still some things we need to work on. It really just goes to show you how bad the Eberflus defense is. And when I turn around and see what the hell's going on, which I see right now, they're already down 7-0. So the Cowboys defense is already down 7-0. Again, it goes to show you how bad Matt Eberflus's defense is. But winning an ugly game going into the bye week is great because now you have 2 weeks to look over the film and address what the issues are, and at the same time prepare for Washington because you already know Terry and JD5 are going to be back ready to play because you know they want to show up the Bears again and do everything. Again, like I said, this is one of these calendar type of circle you mark on your date where you're like, it's time to go avenge that fucking loss that should have never happened. And you already know Ben Johnson is going to be up in that room replaying that Hail Mary and saying, look, I wasn't here last year, but looking at the tape, you guys should have won that fucking game. You're good enough to beat this team. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see. In terms of Bears game recaps, it'll be in 2 weeks, Monday Night Football, when you'll get my thoughts on a Bears game. Again, my Uncle Daryl was probably knocked out sleeping. That's why he's not on the video today, because this is a late afternoon game. And he's sleeping in Germany, so he probably will have woken up to a crazy ass game. So, yeah, but the Bears get the win 25-24, snatched a victory from the jaws of defeat and beat the Raiders in Vegas. And the Bears are headed 2-2 into the bye week as they prepare to play the Washington Commanders. So it's another great day where I can enjoy my Sunday in peace and not be pissed. Anyways, catch you guys in this video. Till then, guys, peace.